white man today will tell you that thousands of years ago, the black man in Africa was living in Piracy. The black man in Africa was wearing
as we race for a new day, give praise and acknowledge. The sun rays left my black skin turn solidly, absorbing the natural energy. Like the cocoa and yam crop flourish abundantly, like it was meant to be. Eating jelly plum until my gums are numb. But my brothers are still young, guess I should pick them some. I gotta share but a shine without a bruise or blemish. Who would've known we would encounter a fate so hellish? My strength is unprecedented from here to Kemet. Driven by righteous incentives, we innovative and inventive. My father does metal work, fire, more metal, goldsmith. Warrior tribe will survive if we stay close-knit. We live our lives through good vibes until the wicked man that lied arrived. Offering bribes, waving guns and knives. They came from an ignorant nation, black in pigmentation. Do you remember compensation of this confrontation?
man in Africa had mastered the arts and the sciences. He knew the source of the stars in the universe before the man up in Europe knew that the earth wasn't flat. Then if the black man in Africa had reached such a high state of civilization so long ago, at a time when the people of Europe were floating on the wall.
When I was taking it dead for nothing. Slave ship packed to the back, men in the fam stack, raving and fussing. Rave ran cussing out of people in the something in my last time I graduated, my way is disgusting. Right now I would love a man moving in the space. I'm losing my mind, I need space. Vomiting, biscuits, stress up in the place, so it's sickness. Gotta make your reach, make haste. While we lie down, some cries die down. I do anything to see my village on my eyes now. Good grief for them on my street. It's like it's a bad something we ain't ready to see. In this deep, this Moses led the Israelites out Egypt into the great Red Sea. I'm saying, deep down these are the works of a sinister tender. Who can splendor? Do you remember?
To make these people, enable these people to come out of the cage and come down into our civilization and take it over and hook up to the block. What happened? How did they do it? These are the things you should want to find out before you say hooray, hooray, hooray.
I'm sitting on a branch of my mango tree, sucking a Julie, saw a ship and tucking my jewelry. They moored the boat off the shore, it kinda moved me. This is the Mississippi River, not a slave movie. People looking like me, chain, ankle, and wrist. Paleo my bros and sits with whips. I know it better, thought I can't let this slide. Suddenly something that cool started burning my eyes. Kicks to my ribs, burning my side. Plus no one knows that I'm gone. Birds sing a soulful song. Soon I'm shackled with them, and the horror goes on. Walking for miles, winter weather burning my corns. Destination unknown, many died, those kept alive became property of the enemy tribes. Should I take my life? I couldn't decide. From master to a prisoner at the blink of an eye. Why?
You put so few white people rule so many black people. This is the thing you should want to know.
Yeah, Guilty Crime Production. Anonymous in the building. You already know what it is. Do what I gotta do, I'm just hustling. Don't know who is who, so I can't trust them, man. Roll with a certain few, we put a muscle in. I still rep the Fleming crew and those who suffering. Youths don't overstand, they just want strife. Action without plans, that's just a part of life. Reality's out to sink in, they realize this ain't no life for a black king. All superstars still in a project, rock stars, no more bouncing the rock. They're serving the bounce of the rock. And they want super cars, chasing all the fast cars, trying to face the backlash. Seems kind of far, but it's in their reach. And they say, JR, all you do is preach. So I silence my speech, ain't got nothing to say. Try to lead by example, if they following the right way. But who am I but a mere man? All I can do is pray. And most of them don't care, man. All they want to do is pray.
All I can do is pray, and all they want to do is pray. And all I can do is pray, and all they want to do is pray. And all I can do is pray, and all they want to do is pray. And all I can do is pray, and all they want to do is pray.
With the gauge of the cave, ain't too concerned about getting locked in the cage when you on front page. And you center of attention and you on front stage. What the f you supposed to do, yo, to get out of this maze? So it's rage against machine. Niggas blazing with machine. Niggas making phone calls and they're patient with machines. And they got the laser beam and it's pointing to your schmet. And you thinking it's a dream, but you already dead. And the strange that may seem, this is how they make their bread savage. Mad sick, no good in their head. Ravaged by the system, some cut off their dread. Cabbage, fried shoulda never took those meds. Lavish, life, this is what they want instead. But the shit ain't easy. They're trying to emulate the lifestyles that they hear on the CDs, but the average die young from the gun, this ain't TV. You have to unarm the next one too. Did you unarm the other one? Good. Stand off, take 10 paces when doing handoffs in the open with bare faces. Mere traces, rare places that know about a status. I mean status. What's the stasis? We out stratus. Mr. Universe, code name Tony Atlas. I was gifted with this. Why you talking about practice? Really? You talking about practice? You a thespian, acting like an actress. You a lesbian, type back on the mattress. Christian, Protestant, Anglican, Baptist, Pentecostal, Lutheran. All Catholic, ancients have returned, truth is in. Stop the slackers, they do anything and everything to get you off your axis. A time to move forward, a time to wait, a time to love, a time to hate, a time to hug, a time to refrain from embrace, a time to smile, time for seriousness on the face, a time to be on point, a time to make mistakes, a time to be small, a time to be great. It's racing for the swift, but could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be a more strong devour, weak, rich, prey on the poor. If you find this, but you seek in DNA, it's all stored. It's racing for the swift, but could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be a more strong devour, weak, rich, prey on the poor. If you find this, but you seek in DNA, it's all stored. Time to preserve life, a time to kill, a time to act hype, a time to chill. A time to do what's right, Allah's will. A time to make lower self-hate, you on some thrills. A time to reach heights, a time for depths. Times when you speak, times quiet is kept. A time to stay awake, actually we never slept. Time to get resuscitated, time for losing your breath. A time to pass, a time to resurrect. Sun sets, then it rises. I know it sounds complex, still no surprises. Try grasp the concepts. Open your eyelids, change your literature to change your mind. That's what I did. You on the fence, undecided? Take time, don't worry, she provided. It's delicate when ideologies colliding. It's racing for the swift, but could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be your more strong devour, weak, rich, prey on the poor. If you find it's cause you're seeking DNA, it's all stored.
Islam was peace and love to all. Islam to all. We're here for our session, Tuesday session. Islam to the Moors in the chat. So we uploaded this video about the Jews' involvement in the slave trade. And then whoever is out there, you know, talking crazy on the comments. I thought the Moors don't believe in the slave trade. And Taj Tariq Bey said, then how come you guys Moors aren't? Hey, clown. Let me tell you something, clown, and all the other clowns out there. The Moors that you Moors been used to, the Moors who you Moors see and think that's what it means to be Moors, we're not those Moors. We're Moors who study. We're not Moors who follow somebody because they've been teaching for 30 or 40 years. We're not Moors who follow behind people because We met them. And they have a website and a book, and people go to their stuff, so we're going to ride their dick or ride their vagina. FOH. Don't play dumb, because we're not the dumb Moors. We're the Moors that study. We're not the Moors that carry our fez to the temple in a bag like a mason. We're the Moors who wear fezzes anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you might not even have a fez. You might have a turban. Sometimes you might put on a baseball hat with a 7 and a circle on it. Regardless of what, we're not these bit-bat Moors that you people think are Moors. And that's the example you're using as what a Moor is. Right? We're studious Moors, and we rep other studious Moors. You don't care what they're doing. Whatever they do, that's their business. I don't care what they're doing. Whatever they're doing, that's on them. But when I connect with them, it's Islam, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, no duality, Allah, law, jurisprudence, astrology, cosmology, putting some incense on the shrine, pouring libation, whatever. It's all, and I gravitate with those Moors. So don't be crazy because you see us put up a video about some slave trade and then think we're down with some slave trade or some BS. That's not our stuff. That's some stuff somebody made on freaking, why don't you go ask them goddamn questions? Hell you asking us questions for? Just like we show you, Dr. Ben said whatever. You're asking Moors stuff. Why are you asking Moors? Go ask Dr. Ben how come he said we are Moors and spelt it out for your dumb ass. You want to leave stupid ass comments talking crazy. Like that's our stuff that we did that. We didn't do that. Go talk to those people who did that. Stop coming at Moors. But you're too punk to go stand up to the real enemy. So we put up the video just so we can tell you why we put up the goddamn video. Because people are goddamn jackasses out here. We put up the video to show that it was the Druze, not the Moors, who enslaved your black ass. So stop talking about Moors. Enslave somebody. We're founders of civilization, Moors. And since we're the founders of civilization, yeah, there was taking people's heads and enslaving people because we ran shit. Fuck out of here. Moors ran shit for 800 years. What are you talking about? Some Egyptian Kemet BS. They got Alhambra right now, people go see still. You're not going to see no goddamn pyramid in Egypt. They're going to Mexico. That's where they're going to go see some pyramids. Ask anybody who goes there, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, that's where the Europeans go at. They're not going to no goddamn Africa to go see nothing. What the hell's going all the way over there? Oh yeah, only the Negro black guys who don't know themselves. They think they came from goddamn across the Atlantic Ocean. And they're going to go over there, and then they really went home and kissed the ground, all the BS. I'm telling you, you put up the video so you can stop the BS. Go at the Jews for your slave trade BS. Oh yeah, and don't forget the Jews are the Khazar or whatever like that. Those are the Jews. So FOH to those people, if you're looking at them like the European, some European, Jews that are European. Only Jews are Hebrew Israelites. So go talk to your boys who are going to tell you, cross the line and I will enslave you right here on this street right here. Hebrew Israelite told a black guy that. And you're telling Moors about we enslaved our brother? What are you talking about? We're teachers. Go talk to your boys, the Hebrew Israelites who put your ass in slavery. And then they try to push the JEW on the Europeans to try to get you think that it was them. That Nation of Islam who's down with the BS, right? They're not going to tell you it's the Hebrew Israelites that did it. Or they're going to tell you about some Europeans enslaved some Africans. And they have, how these people come out of some mountain region and then they just run stuff? No. It was those Moorish Jews, not the ones from Harlem, not those ones. The ones with the slave trade BS. It was the Moorish Jews that they kicked out of Spain. Because you know that it was the Moors and the Jews, the Morenos, and the Marranos that got kicked out of Spain. Just them. Those are the two people who were ruling power. So understand, we know who the lower self is of the Moors. The higher self of the Moors, the lower self. Lower self of the Moors, the Hebrew Israelite guys do all the, you know, Power Rangers, yell at people or whatever like that. That's the lower self of the Moorish paradigm. Higher self of the Moorish paradigm, where we're at. So don't even look at Moors. And don't even talk any BS about calling into something, because this is not you guys fuck nigger call-in show. This is an online stream, dumb jackass. We don't even have a phone number. What do you mean call into something? FOH to all you people playing around. Hell you talking about? Call in somebody scared of something. There's no goddamn call-in number, you dumb jackass. Turn off your computer and go read a book. Who you people think you are? Like there's some consciousness or whatever like that, so somebody could be in control of the, and everybody who has that much views, they're in control of the consciousness or whatever. You guys are dummies, jackasses. And by the end of the night, you'll be out the chat, because the chat muftis gonna deal with you. You ain't gotta worry about you. You gotta worry about you. The chat muftis got you. That's why we can go through the whole stuff, you know what I mean? And we don't have no interruptions. Just because you got chat muftis. Yahshua Hebrew, just so you know I'm talking to you personally. Playing around. Chat muftis got you. Watch. Watch. What shall we call him? Noble Drew Ali slapped these people so much, and they want to play around. Like he never told them what's up. And they're going to play around. And then, oh yeah, just so you know, for all the Moors out there, if you want a good joke or whatever like that, it's Chinese New Year right now. And in the corporation Canada, Chinese New Year getting more play than Black History Month. It's February right now. Chinese New Year right now. But Chinese New Year getting more play than Black History Month right now. Out here. I don't know where it is anybody else. I can just talk for out here. Block what? We don't have no admin, dumb jackass. I already told you, this is not you guys bit-bap stuff that you could go on people's stuff. They're live. You go on there, chat, say some BS, and then they let you call in, and then you could talk some BS. That's not what this is. We told you, we're not those Moors. This is not call-in Moors. This is not the screen split with the thing on the side and then the chats in the thing, but then it's also there too. So why do you need two of them? But then advertisement at the bottom and keep playing. What shall we call him? For those who want to know. You don't want to know? FOH. Get out the chat. Go. I think Garfield's live right now. I think freaking Joel Benjamin's live right now. I think even Sabir's live right now, I think. So go over there and go do something with yourself. FOH. What shall we call him? So often, our various journalists find trouble in selecting the proper name for the Moorish American. Some say Negro. So he already told these people who they are. The Moorish American. They ain't playing around with you. They want you to think it's some religion, some whatever. No, it's not what this is. This is we're a nation. We're not Negro, black, colored. This is you're Moorish American. Told you off the jump. The proper name for the Moorish American. Some say Negro, so he's talking to you. Others will brand him race man. Still another will call him Afro-American. And then come colored, dark American, coon, shine, the brethren, and your folks. It is indeed a hard matter to find something suitable for the various occasions where a title needs to be used. Is it that these people have no proper name? Remember, you already told the people that they're Moorish American. So any intelligent individual who's classifying themselves as Negro, black, colored, coon, shine, whatever like that, automatically, hold on a second. The hell is that? You mean Moorish American? What's that? Did they have a national name when first brought to these shores in the early part of the 17th century? When first brought to these shores. He's talking to you slave came over here on a ship people. He's specifically talking to you. You people who said you came over here from some shores somewhere. Before you got over here, did you have a name before you became Negro and black and all the BS that you call yourself? Did you have a name? I don't know. Find out. The whole concept that, you know, the Moor came and told you. Not some Negro, Aboriginal indigenous, because remember he's Cherokee or whatever. Just keep in mind, he's quote unquote Indian. He's Native American. He's Aboriginal, indigenous, autochthonous, original man and all that BS. He's all that. By blood bona fide, he's all that. Okay, he said FOH to all that BS. We're Moors. We're not any of that BS. To the point where the true original Jews, the Zionist ones of the Moorish temple in Harlem that got invited by Haile Selassie to go to the coronation because they had a status, those are the brothers. They already know what's up. You go check their stuff, they fly Moroccan flag in their stuff because they already know what's up. You cannot discount what Noble Drew Ali said because he was Aboriginal indigenous to here. You can't say he doesn't have a claim because you have some personal whatever, because his shoes were shiny or whatever. Irrelevant. Man's making a claim as an Aboriginal and indigenous descendant. he was actually Cherokee. If you want to use that, if we don't say more and we say, okay, we're going to call ourselves something, okay, we'll say that he's Cherokee. Like, he didn't come here on some slave ship. So he's telling you what's up. He's letting you know what's up. Did they have a national name when first brought to these shores in the early part of the 7th century? If so, what was it? What was it? Did not the land from which they were forced have a name? Talking to you people. Talking to you came over here on a ship, people. Somebody brought you here. You people he's talking to directly. Right? Remember, just like Dr. Ben said, we were calling ourselves Moors. He included himself. And his noble Jwali, did not the land from which they were forced have a name? So he's not talking about himself. He's not including himself in that. He's not including himself. He said they. So which means they got people that's with him that aren't included in that either. Because he's not just speaking for himself. If he's referring to the others as they, it now appears a good idea for those whose duty it is to write for the various journals to find out what the national name of the forefathers of these people was. So after we ask ourselves all those questions, the time now comes for, well, somebody has to, because he said in the beginning that we're not Negro, we're not race man, we're not Afro-American, we're not colored, we're not dark, right? Because remember, he told them up there. They already got the answer, just like the 101 questionnaires. You're not going to question anything. You're getting the answer. What you mean you need cheat notes? Why you need cheat notes? You got the answer. You got a question and the answer. What do you need under the desk? You peeping for stuff. Told them that they're Moorish American. But they already know that that's going to blow over their head. That's why he came back again and said, hey, it's time for the journals to step up and say something. What's up? If you're the writers of the whatever, then state your claim. Because I don't see anything out here identifying these people that are classified as Negro or whatever like that, something other than Negro and all that stuff. You know, be free Negroes, and then you want to be whatever blacks, and sticking with the fiction. Also, because the dumbass doesn't want to go research or whatever like that, okay, fine. Let me just give you a little bit more to try to, you know, push you along a little bit, give you some momentum to see how important it is to find out what this free national name is. And why is it even relevant, even today in 2019? Why is that relevant even today? Hey, what's the name of these people who say they came over on a slave ship and then they had a month, right? But now, Chinese now, jack that month now, and then they're using that month as their celebration for whatever. So, because I don't see anybody else doing nothing on the gay day. I don't see anybody else doing anything on the Sri Lankan day. I don't see any cross mixing with stuff unless they come together and do some collaborative whatever. These people have their little month, and then Chinese took it over, and you're still not trying to find out what the hell the problem is. They're just gonna jack your stuff, and you're not even gonna consider. Also, look into the history of the founders of civilization and see who they were and where they stood in the building of the present civilization. Remember, this is after you go talk to the journalists and whoever else that you claim are the scholarly of the whatever. They're supposed to give you some type of reference point as to who the hell are you. Because you can't be all the fictions. Nobody else is all the fictions, only us. So you have to get rid of all the fictions and find one thing to call yourself. Everything else is futile and a waste of time. And Moors already know this. That's why we're on this side trying to say, yo, what the hell's up? You guys dumb? Like, what's the problem? Everybody knows and they're waiting. Also, look into the history of the founders of civilization and see who they were and where they stood in building of the present civilization. The building of this present civilization goes directly back to the years upon years upon years upon years that Moors ruled the globe. And took everything from the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. Everything, whichever ancient mystery schools you want to call it, that stuff. Moors took that, civilized the entire world. Probably 2 hours in an up-to-date library would serve to relieve the strain on our men of letters. Now let's take a pause for the cause right here. Let's take a pause for the cause right here. The people have been directly manipulated into not studying, but watch studying and thinking that's studying. That Moore said 2 hours in an up-to-date library. 2 hours in an up-to-date library. Remember, again, going back to the times when there was very limited confusion, no playing around, no playing around. Before the Moors versus Alim, we're gonna say the Moors, because all those people on that side playing black or whatever, if they're from New York or whatever, they know about Moors, and much of them know that they're Moors. They got Black's Law Dictionary at their house and all that. They can pull that off the shelf. Don't even get played. Like people haven't been to court and beat up cases or whatever like that already. And then they're saying black power, like they never beat cases as Moors. In those times, it would be watching the tape or the DVD, watching the tape with the book and the pen and all that. After you're done, you go over all the notes that you just took now, like, whew, that Aleem lecture was crazy. Can't wait to go to the library and go look up all these books. Oh, Hemet was a good one too. When you watch some Hemets and you reach the end of the notes and you check all the books that he went, and then you go check the library and they're there. Crazy. That's what studying was. That was the essence of being a Moor. Going through those rituals right there. Of going and getting the information. None of these people, like we said, who brought us up, none of them played that follow some BS. Because somebody doing some BS, you chase after them because they got the key to the whatever. None of them taught like that. And that's all you're seeing right today with Moors. Nobody wants to go do their stuff. They want somebody else to do it for them. And then they get some 50-page thing. And then now they have to, well, damn, I got to send this out to 300 people, but it's 50 pages. But then where am I going to get the finance from to send all these out? And then, oh man, how am I going to do this? And start acting crazy. We used to go to the library after we watch whoever it is. There was good ones. Kabahaya Watha Kamene, there was insane ones. Right again. The Dr. Aleem had crazy ones. We're talking about 08, 07. Right at that time where it was flatline. This thing was going for eons. Locked down. Moors had it locked. Everybody knew what was up. And just like it was, the Moors was why the people were getting the correct information. The right information, not just to liberate them physically, but also to liberate them spiritually and mentally and emotionally and all these different ways that we've been destroyed because somebody knew how to manipulate those strings to have us be on a certain frequency or a certain tone that is off from what the universe is expecting us to be at. And then that frequency, that thing that slap you right back into is knowing what the free national name is. Grounds you immediately. You know what I mean? And then you ground it, then all the ripple of the earth or whatever goes out, and then now you know, yeah, okay. Now I get what this is about. Why? Because I went to the place, did my 2 hours, 4 hours, 20 hours. There was times people telling you, get out of the library, time to go. Like, we can't be here every night, 30 minutes over. Like, Well, you're not even in school. Like, what are you even doing in here? Studying like this? What are you doing in here? The library's about to close. You still got books, taking notes or whatever? Because you had to go get it for yourself. Which is why Noble Drew Ali told these Moors. Remember, this is a Moorish Guide newspaper. So he's also talking to Moors too. Not just talking to Negroes. He's telling Moors too, probably 2 hours in the library serve you to relieve the strain on our men of letters. Why? Because the priesthood is dead. Somebody has something for you. Man already put it on the record that you're Moorish American. Third line, second line. And he knew that you weren't going to get the message and kept going. To stress the point of making sure you go study. Don't think somebody said something and that's what it is or whatever. Because people are getting it right now. 5,000 for papers. You got 100,000 view people selling you a nationality package. Selling you a nationality package. That doesn't even deal with nationality. They're not even telling you what your free national name is. They're claiming that you're some Aboriginal indigenous. How the hell are you Indian? This is not India. Stop talking crazy. Noble Drew Ali's Cherokee. He didn't play that BS. He didn't rep some Cherokee nation for the Moors. Moors of Cherokee nation. Because they're the founders of civilization or what. You're not talking crazy. Moors, that's what it is. Playing around. Like I say, we had good reference points. Brother Hakeem Bey. You watch one of his stuff and you go to the library after. You know how crazy it? Phil Valentine, L. No, you know, nuts was Black Dot. You know, nuts it was. It was crazy. A.A. Rashid, do you know how crazy it was? And you're able to learn the truth about C. Freeman L. You know the truth about your birthrights and your nationality and your higher and your lower self and how real that is. Those are more. You can look at it now. Some stuff that you hear people doing right now, BS. Because some people already gave up on you conscious whoever's. They already know what's up. They're just out there just to try to, you know, as a live off of this. Because people don't want freedom. They want a master. They don't want a free national name. They just want a national name. So they can still have the titty to suck. They still want the milk. Grown, can't even be on the lap or whatever, talking about they want the titty to get some milk. Foot hanging off, touching the ground. Man only said 2 hours in the library. You thought people go to the library right now? They look at you like, what's that? What do you mean library? What's a library? There's also, oh no, it has a lie in it, so that's not the place where you're gonna go and get the, yeah, that's the library. You're not going there. What are you talking about? So you fell off because you didn't do your, at least your 2 hours. I said probably 2 hours. Means that it shouldn't even take that long to figure it out. The matter of the various names given to these 22 million people, 22 million, the matter of the various names given to these 22 million people with all colors of every race of the globe was an act of European psychology. You know, Negro leaders telling you that. Because they've took the bait of keeping you in the European psychology. That's why you call yourself black and Negro and all that stuff, and you think that you're somebody. $22 million people are Moorish Americans, but they don't want to be Moorish Americans. They want to be yellow people. They want to be fictions. They want to get views and convince people to be stateless. And then because people are not studying, they trust me, they're stateless. Right? Stop the BS. It was secretly has fezzes or whatever like that. These people are Moors. It's not a fez make nobody a Moor. You know, a card make you a Moor, papers make you a Moor. It's European psychology why you're not Moors. You thinking that you're some other BS. When second line man told you you're Moorish American in the 1920s. There's Moors around today right now. Like, what do you mean? This is before everybody's stuff. What are you talking about? Moors been here. This is not some new stuff we just started 1900s. They give him a name, then define it as something inferior to theirs. White they defined as a color of purity. Black, they say, represents everything evil. The Negro, as they were called in this nation, have no nation to which they might look with pride. There is no Negro, black, colored, anything nation. Their history starts with the close of the Civil War, or more properly, with his being forced to serve someone else. Thus, he is separated from the illustrious history of his forefathers, who were the founders of civilizations of the old world. Remember, Noble Drawley told you, the illustrious history of his forefathers, who were founders of the first civilization of the old world. Not the new world, the old world. This matter should be looked into with a hope of correcting it. With a hope of correcting it. With a hope. Because I already know that these people are full of BS. They want to study, they want stuff downloaded. Just download it to me and I'll get it. History defined. History may be defined in a general way as the record of the life of mankind. It is the rise and progress of those famous people whose doings constitute to the history of civilization. In this its proper and highest science, history presupposes the nations of the world advance beyond the natural or primitive state, and to these belong our great leader Muhammad, directed by our Father God Allah. Respecting mankind outside of nations, there is much interesting and valuable knowledge supplied by various sciences. By the aid of these sciences, much is now known regarding mankind's customs, manners, languages, arts, and religions, which bring us back to our Father Allah and the Muslim religion. And the Muslim religion. Smithsonian.com. Muslims were banned from the Americas as early as the 16th century. Now don't get it crazy, because you see Muslims, the ones that talk about 16th century, they're not talking about what you think is Muslims. Just like you saw Moors doing BS and you thought, oh my God, I don't know. That's what being a Moor is? I don't want to read that. You're looking cross-eyed right now. Focus. They really mean Muslims. That's why Noble Drew Ali said Muslim religion. They say Muslim. That's 1920s. 1920s, he could say Muslim, which is a very clear distinction from Muslim. And we're seeing his literature say Muslim, then Muslim, which again goes back to ancient foremothers and forefathers, whether they did good or did bad, they're your ancestors. On Christmas Day, 1522, 20 enslaved Muslim Africans used machetes to attack their Christian masters on the island of Hispaniola, then governed by the son of Christopher Columbus. The assailants, condemned to the grinding toil of a Caribbean sugar plantation, killed several Spanish and freed a dozen enslaved Native Americans in what was the first recorded slave revolt in the New World. Oh, so Noble Ali said that he's Native American. Okay. And then they're saying Muslim Africans. And we know Muslim is Muslim. And we know African is synonymous with Moor. So Muslim Moors, which goes back to the history that it was the Christians and the Moors who had their little stuff around this same time, 1500s, early, late 1400s. The first recorded slave revolt was Moors getting out of the BS. Remember, we already told you who the slave masters were. Uploaded it so you know. Not the Jewish, the Jew. And not the Zionist Moorish ones of Harlem, the 1492 ones. That went on their own campaign against the Moors. Remember, it's all about allies. And when the Jews and Moors got banished, and then now here comes the new Moors, and then they go and they set their little stuff up. This is after, you know what I mean? Stuff already started. People are already on plantations and whatever. Already there. But they're revolting. And then you have these people today saying, oh yeah, this one place is two different places, and then those two people there are against each other because they think that they're on two different jurisdictions on one jurisdiction. They don't know that all of them are home. And that there was Muslims, again, that are Moors. The uprising was quickly suppressed, but it prompted the newly crowned King Charles V of Spain to exclude from the Americas slaves suspected of Islamic leanings. He blamed the revolt on their radical ideology rather than the harsh realities of living a life of slavery. Remember, you're talking about people who were of Islamic leanings. Remember, Noble Drew Ali brought it up to you that if you claim that you came over here, the place that you came from had a name. So you had to have had a name. If the claim is that you were enslaved and came over here and in slavery or whatever, then we're talking about Moors. The Muslim African Moors. And keep in mind what he said too. Know about the old one so you can recognize how the new one is doing whatever they're doing because they took the stuff from your ancestors. By the time of the Hispaniola revolt, Spanish authorities had already forbidden travel by any infidel, whether Muslim, Jew, Protestant, to its New World colonies. So you have people complaining today about, and people telling them they can't travel and stuff like that, isn't it? You know who's the founder of that? You know who they dropped that stuff on first? Moors and Jews, because not all of them sold out. Some of them stayed true to the cause and got expelled too. And remember that when we say brought over here, when we say brought over here, the only place that would really make sense is Caribbean and South America, not even North America. So all the people in North America still have some explaining to do. How do you get here? South America, okay, we can go with their story because they have documents to prove, but they're not talking about some millions. But they got documents to prove people were taken to South America and Caribbean. Okay. Just know that the people involved like that look like you. You know, some Europeans. No Europeans in the 1500s in control of no ships. How? They're still paying tribute to the Moors in the 1500s. They're still talking about pirates and stuff like that, trying to take over the republics because over here were Barbary states. Now you have Algiers here and Egypt here and all that. So this is the Moroccan Empire. Why wouldn't there be Egypt here? There's Egypt over here. Why wouldn't there be Hebraic people here? There's those people over there. I mean, what's the big deal? All these, same thing that Moors are doing today. The quote-unquote Muslim Moors, whether you go to Philippines, it's the Muslim Moors who's fighting for their land and stuff like that in the Philippines. If you go to North America, it's the Muslim Moors who are standing up for their nationality and birthrights, not taking nothing from these Europeans. They know we rather fend for ourselves than take your stuff. They subjected any political immigrant with a suspicious background to intense vetting. A person had to prove not just that they were Christian, but that there was no Muslim or Jewish blood among their ancestors. These Hebrew Israelites playing like we're not family. That you know, oh yeah, they're a chart of 12 tribes of whatever, but they're not. How are you not part of the family? How are you playing NOI that you're a nation, but that's a religion? There ain't no religions that are nations. And don't say Catholic nothing because Vatican's private corporation. That's registered. It's not a nation. Maybe a corporation, but that's not a nation. And this is the same thing that they did with the Moors, is the same thing that they're doing with Moors here. And Moors don't get it. They're playing stay subjugated. No, the Muslims enslaved Africans. They were wielding machetes and stuff like that to get out of their servitude. And if machete is technically a sword, and then the Moors today are doing that with writing, and the pen is mightier than the sword, then we're right on point where it's at. No matter where you go, it's Muslim who are really kicking off the revolt. Muslims kicking off the revolt. The same stuff that they say that they're against today, some Muslim whatever. You think that means some Sunni Shiite terrorists or whatever? No. It's always been a campaign against the Moors. Just call them something different. Well, we're talking about the Moors. Think these people do what they're doing that makes Chicago have a bad name or whatever? For nothing? Think they don't get what the ritual is? You don't know about that's Mecca? Think people have their mosque there because that's not Mecca? Who told them that that's Mecca? And Noble Drew Ali told them that. What do you mean? You think they started doing something? They don't want to get behind the real Muslim. Laid it all out so that we can be clear. So we don't have any excuse. We have zero excuse. As an archivist at the Amistad Research Center at Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana, from 1988 to 2001, I was understandably aware of the significance of the Amistad Revolt and its place in American history, but it was never positioned as an important event relating to Islamic history in America. About 2 years after working at the center, I came across a newspaper account of the meeting of the Amistad Africans with a translator, James Covey, contracted by the Amistad Committee to assist in the defense of the jailed Africans in New Haven, Connecticut. To my surprise and utter confusion, was the first word spoken as the Africans was Assalamu alaikum. The translator further stated that upon seeing the Africans, he immediately recognized them as Muslims from the Mende tribe. I was astonished that no one, including our director, noted Amistad Research Center director and historian of American Missionary Association, scholar Dr. Clifton Herman Johnson, had ever once mentioned this connection to me, a visibly African-American Muslim. When we're talking about Africans, quote unquote, and the connection of Islamic history in America. Now, you already know Amistad. The people continue to fight against the true identity. Now, remember, there's no such thing as Europeans have some ships or whatever in 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. We had to be navigating those. Jew, Muslim, whatever, and know that they weren't some Europeans. Now we're talking a man, what is it again that is there? Going and doing research. In him doing his research, he's finding a newspaper article. The so-called slaves talking about Assalamu alaikum. The Amistad Committee had specifically discussed the issue of these Africans being Mohammedans. And this had given them pause as to whether they should use them as a test case to challenge the system of slavery in the courts. And going back to Moors again. Why? Because Noble Drew Ali laid it all out for those who were interested. Now remember, we're just talking about the Mohammedans. He knew exactly what he was doing, because he wanted to give us a very specific position so that we're not confused when we hear other people talk. The Amistad Committee had specifically discussed the issue of these Africans being Mohammedans. Now, when you go to Noble Drew Ali's work and his Moorish leaders' historical message to America, the Moors or Mohammedans so these African Americans, these Africans who are in America that know Arabic are known and classified as Mohammedans. And then what did Noble Drew Ali do? Came and scratched that misnomer out and told you that they were really Moors. Because you can't be a Mohammedan because you're Islamic. Yeah. What do you mean? Why would I be Mohammedan? Oh, so you're a Christian because you follow Christ. No. Follow Christ, why you giving the preacher all your finance? The hell are you talking about? No damn Christians. You're Moors too. Moriscos. Who again go back again to these sellouts that decided to stick with the European psychology, claiming that they're Christians when they know that they're Mohammedans. And then if you're Mohammedans, Noble Ali said those are Moors. They're not no Mohammedans. Always bringing you right back to it. So you can never say that you weren't told and lie on him. Because everything was documented. Because he realized that all these freaking journalists that he was looking to BS. And all they had was their little paper, Negro World paper, and Deuce Muhammad Ali's paper. And everybody was backing those. Going hard just with regard to putting out what really supposed to be put out. In the Moorish Science Temple of America, he told the Moors, it is most earnestly hoped that the Moorish Science Temple of America will not in any way be confused with any Back to Africa movement. Such is not important. What's back there? What do you mean go back there? You can't afford to live here right now. What do you go back there to do? Go back there and then ultimately you're the king and queen of wherever you land and then everything's good. The Africans there run over, put the thing on you and put you in the throne and say, yeah, you're good. Because you returned from the crypts of when they know that you're from over here. And the only reason that they want you to go over there is because all their people left there to come over here. Why everybody coming over here and you're leaving? Thinking they left something for you back there. They're taking stuff from here. They're sending back there. It's most earnestly hoped. Why? Because he's Cherokee, telling you. Noble Drawley is family with Henry Turner. We tell you who sued these people. How you not gonna recognize the claim? This is not some Back to Africa. We already read the thing where these people came out of slavery and then went and freed the Native Americans, who were Moors too, because remember, Noble Drawley looks like a brother. And he was Cherokee. Again, reference, all just reference points. So you can't say that it's us. We know that what was going on with our people was atrocious. And just like we're seeing it today, we had to do something about it. And as Moors, this is not the time for you running in someplace, guns blazing. These people, you know what they do already, you already know how they do. But all this is proof that these people know what's up. That's the point. Okay, yeah, some people brought here on a slave ship. Well, those people were Muslims. How you not Moors now? They reference them as Islamic. You know, more again, Harvard. Like, it's not like they don't know. These people telling you directly. Mali uprising, slave revolt in Salvador. Again, Muslims. I know Muslims is a fiction. Brill's Encyclopedia. Brill's Encyclopedia. Moors. Moors, a rather vague name, still applied in the 16th century to certain elements in the Muslim town population of various countries, and especially to the inhabitants of the Mediterranean ports of North Africa. The word, presumably of Phoenician origin, corresponds to the ancient local name of the natives of Barbary, reproduced by the Romans as Mori and by the Greeks as Moros, Strabo. The term Mori, used by the Romans in a general way for the Berbers, passed into Spain in the form of Moro. And it was by the name of the Moros that the people of the Iberian Peninsula, throughout the whole period of Muslim rule, knew the Arab conquerors and Arabicized Berbers who had come to settle in Spain from the other side of the Strait of Gibraltar. The name Moros passed into various European languages. French, Maures, Maures, English, Moors, Moors, German, Mohren. At the time of the Reconquista, the name Moriscos was applied in Spain to these Muslims, usually crypto-Muslims, who had remained in the country until their final expulsion in 1610. Moriscos. The Moriscos went mainly to North Africa, where they were known to the natives as Andalus, while Christian travelers gave them the general name of Moors. In modern times, the Moors to the European were therefore the urban population of the North African ports, irrespective of the proportion of immigrants from Spain. In modern times, the Moors to the Europeans were therefore the urban population of the North African ports, irrespective of the proportion of immigrants. Since then, the word has been generally used with the meaning Muslim. Since then, the word Moor has been generally used with the meaning Muslim. Like we said, Moors were banned. Moors were revolting. So let's put the Mali uprising now in perspective. Since we did some research and now know that Muslims, because the encyclopedia let us know that Muslims were Moors. So anytime you read and you see Muslims, you should think Moors. Does anybody put out any bulletin or whatever talking about the encyclopedia stuff is wrong, so you can't use that as a reference point, like they do with other things that are fraud. The Mali uprising was a slave revolt in Salvador Bahia organized by Moors, known as Malis, during the last 10 days of Ramadan in January of 1835. Captured rebels wore Moorish dress, including head coverings and long white tunics, and carried prayer beads as well as Quranic amulets on their bodies for protection. That sounds like what these people are doing today. The only people I see wearing amulets and all that stuff are Moors today. I don't see no two call themselves Muslims, and don't want to be Moors, they call themselves Muslims or whatever. I'm not seeing any of them wearing any amulets or stones or nothing like that. Only Moors I see do that. Only Moors do that. The revolt was organized primarily by Hausa and Nago Moors. Hausa and Yoruba Moors organized the revolt. Because remember, the black guys can't say that it was them now. The black power, whoever's saying, yeah, we're the revolutionaries of the slave trade and all that BS. No, sorry. Good try. But you have no claim if you have no status. And Moors is a status. It's such a status that they even said Muslims are Moors. Which again dead the misnomer. Which again shows that what Noble Drew Ali was on was right and exact. The revolt was organized primarily by Hausa and Yoruba Moors, but non-Moors Africans from various backgrounds also participated, numbering roughly 600 non-Moor Africans, non-Islamic, non-Quranic, just like they said, Yoruba Moors, Hausa Moors, everybody were Moors though. Point is, everybody were Moors. It's a big difference than just being Yoruba only. The uprising targeted whites, but also mulattoes and native-born Brazilians, namely those who did not belong to the African-born slave and free population who were seen as part of the slave-holding society. So sellouts even got it. Dirty Moors, dirty Brazilians got it. Those who were working with the other side to keep our people in slavery. In this day, it's mental. In this day and time, it's mental slavery. And these people have our own working. Have our own working to make sure that we don't make it. Keep us stateless. Make sure that we're stateless. The foundation of slave revolts was because of Muslims. The foundation. Kyle G. Brown, Canada's Slavery Secret. Why is it common knowledge that we saved runaway slaves from the United States, but few know that Africans and indigenous people were bought, sold, and exploited right here? In part one of a two-part series, contributor Kyle G. Brown asks how slavery was allowed to continue for some 200 years and be one of the least talked about aspects of this history. The erasure of blackness. Canada's towns, parks, and universities abound with statues and street signs that have immortalized our founding fathers. But there is no sign of the men, women, and children that some of these powerful men enslaved. Small wonder then that many of us today are unaware that indigenous and African peoples were forced into bondage across colonial Canada. Right, so know that when Moors tell you Canaanland, is because Canada is a colony, and a colony is for colonists. So we're not saying that BS about we're Moorish colonists. We're Moorish American. Canaanland is in North America. So know that these people know that Canada is a colony, and colonies are for foreign Europeans. And not only is it a colony, it's a crown colony. So they definitely don't want Moors in that. . because the same crown is the one who signed edicts and stuff for Moors to be kicked out of England. That we don't need any more blackamoors here. The same colony. And remember, they're talking about indigenous and African peoples. African is synonymous with Moor to historians, not to people who don't study. That's why you can look everywhere in every book that one of these black whoever's wrote, and you'll see African in there. What they're really saying is Moorish. Just go look it up. It'll tell you that African is synonymous with Moor. And Moor would be the preferred usage amongst people with education. Because African is a get-by word. But the people are too dumb because they don't go to the library, do their 2 hours. They want this given to them. Hiding 2 centuries of slavery requires some effort, and it is a collective silence that historian Afua Cooper calls the erasure of blackness. Former Canadian parliamentary poet Laurette George Eliot Clark was commissioned by Ideas to write 2 poems for this series. There is a poem, Why Black Slavery, Snowjob. Why is black slavery whited out in Canadian history? Canadian slave transpired over 200 plus years. Oral history has it that they are the bones of the Luke family slaves. This is backed by the preliminary findings of Quebec anthropologist Roland Viau. One pointed to these vast rolling fields with a sign that read Negro Cemetery. It too is now gone. The sign was removed, replaced, and removed again as though to expatriate the remnants of the embarrassing past. Beyond the thick woods of St. Armand's, our history had been camouflaged. Slavery is seldom featured in Canadian museums except to extol the virtues of Canadians who helped runaways escaping north. The theme gets short shrift even at the museum named after the owner of at least 17 slaves, Francois Baby House in Windsor. Now remember, this whole idea is to try to show that there's no colonialism here. And then there's no colonialism because everybody here is a Canadian citizen and they're happy to be Canadian citizen, and there's no such thing as that. But again, when we go back to this original idea of why would they be hiding the fact that there was subjugation here, because this is not some thing like we didn't have some type of say or control here. Just remember, there wasn't just some slaves escaping some slavery in United States or whatever. Just go check like Matthew DaCosta. He's the first Moor to touch over here. And he's a Dey. So it's not like, and he's known as a Ladino Moor. Now, if they know Matthew DaCosta as a Moor, who are these slave people that they're talking about? And if they're talking about erasure of blackness, and they're seeing all these European names, and they're really thinking that, oh yeah, those might be some Asiatics. No, that might be some Europeans. Because remember, you were in, even here, you were in Barbary states. Because all this is part of the empire. This is not excluded from the empire. Canaanland is part of the empire. It's a best kept secret because it's really Moorish history. It's not a best kept because of slavery. It's not about slavery. Slavery been abolished so long. What are you talking about? The people have chosen to be stateless. And because you chose to be stateless, you lost your position. Again, speaking about slavery, Drew Ali again. We are interested in freeing ourselves and our children from the greatest plight, economic slavery. We believe this can be best done by encouraging, patronizing, and establishing our own businesses, enterprises, and cultivating our own acres of land. That doesn't sound like an ex-slave talking. That definitely doesn't sound like an ex-slave talking. That's definitely not ex-slave. To overcome economic slavery, we, the Moors, believe this can be best done by encouraging, patronizing, and establishing our own business enterprises and cultivating our own acres of land. We welcome into our folds men and women of our group of all sections, all trades, occupations, and professions of sound mind and character. So once you check the ranks and you see that these people of trade with different occupations and professions are not of sound mind and character, you're supposed to not be dealing with them off the top. Because their lack of sound mind and character, good character, is letting you know that they're not going to be down with the direction of the group. Because majority of people are in their ego and they can't shut the hell up. And be the orders, opposed to following somebody. We welcome into our folds men and women, no matter, trade, occupation, profession, bring that to the nation. Why? Because we're interested in freeing ourselves and our children. And we want to free them from the greatest plight, economic slavery. I don't care what any of these people say is your enslavement. The real plight, the real thing that we have to overcome is this economic slavery. But the best way that could be done is us encouraging and supporting each other. Once we're encouraging and supporting each other, because we have established our own businesses and enterprises, and we're cultivating some land, everything should be right. We are friends and servants of humanity, right? For all these Moors that want to do something for themselves with their birthright. No, this is for humanity. Not just for us to get some freedom, us to get out of economic slavery. It's just us to get out of economic slavery and nobody else. Everybody else suffers while we're living lavish. That's the problem that we're in right now. We are friends and servants of humanity. We are dedicated to the purpose of elevating the moral, social, and economic status of our people. Go look up status in a law dictionary. All you, that's the European book or whatever, but go look up status. Because trust, if you're not doing this to free yourself and your children, if you just free yourself only and nobody else is getting free, then you miss the whole point about what this is about. Which is why, again, we're in the situation we're in today. Because of people's ego. And they want stuff for themselves. And would never think, hey, let's set this up so the children could have something. Remember, it takes a village, so it ain't even about no, just you and your mate's children only. Or you and whoever girl that you got out there. Or man that you got out there. And you got a child by them. It takes a nation. We have to elevate the moral, social, and economic status. Status. Why would he use the word status? He could have used a few other words to speak about the moral, social, and economic of our people. We have set about to do this through a wide and comprehensive program embodying the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We have set about to do this elevating of the moral, social, and economic status of our people. To do that, we have a wide and comprehensive program that embodies the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Noble Drew Ali was so profound because he spoke that kind of truth that we definitely needed to hear. He spoke the truth that many did not want to speak. And why didn't they want to speak the truth? Because they had some type of gain. Why didn't they tell you that Moors kicked off the slave rebellions, which inspired many others to say, forget this, I'm a prince of Morocco and I'm enslaved to some Europeans because I just came to visit the Barbary states? That's why we say it's not slave ships, it was our ships that brought us over here. We were going back and forth. This is not some new stuff. Going across the Atlantic in a ship like we're Moors. Navigators of the 7 seas. All the seas we navigated. All the seas we navigated. Right? The different brand names that our people call themselves disconnect them from status. Noble Drew Ali was so right and exact, telling Moors that we're descendants of Moroccans born in America. We're descendants of Moroccans born in America. We're descendants of Moroccans born in Morocco. Oh, so I guess that would make us Moroccans. If we're descendants of Moroccans, but people don't study. And then they caught up with some Morocco over there. When there was people over there contacting Jerry Lewis Bay in Missouri. He wasn't calling them. They were contacting him on some high honors. Contact him. Not for his personal whatever, because of Moors. Because of Noble Drew Ali. Go out. Interesting read. Interesting read. Raiders and Rebels. A History of the Golden Age of Piracy. Frank Sherry. Raiders and rebels. Page 208. Nevertheless, despite the fundamental independence of each pirate ship and of each individual pirate, a rough and ready republic was formed under the direction of a council of captains and quartermasters. According to Governor Spotswood, who had informed on the island, the pirates also chose a governor for themselves, although it appears the title was more honorary than real. Although actual government on New Providence was exceedingly lax, since individual crews settled their own disputes and for the most part made their own decisions, many of the pirate usages and attitudes first in evidence on Madagascar were easily transplanted and sometimes took on new life in the Rogues Republic of New Providence. For example, the Black Flag, the Jolly Roger, had by now become the universal and standard ensign of the outlaw brotherhood. Like their predecessors, the pirates of New Providence put loyalty to the brotherhood above any loyalty to nation, religion, or race. Ethnic and racial freedom was the rule, and the ship's articles of many New Providence crews contained forthright declarations of war against the whole world. Pirate tactics of speed, stealth, and terror, first developed in the East, had become standard operating procedure. Furthermore, their effectiveness was greatly enhanced by the fact that the New Providence pirates occupied a highly favorable strategic position from which to carry on their sea war. Keep in mind, that the pirates are Moors. So there's no way these people have time. If this is what's going on, pirates' tactic of speed, stealth, and terror, first developed in the East, had become standard operating procedure. No way these Europeans had some ships and some boats and whatever in the water trying to bring some Africans from Africa over here in millions. How? From their capital of Nassau, the pirates of New Providence could sail north to patrol the busy harbors of South Carolina and Virginia, or to intercept ships bound for ports on the Gulf of Mexico. They could sail westward to Central America in search of Spanish plunder, or south to the Caribbean to take the shipping of European merchants supplying the plantation colonies. And always, after any raid, they would speed away to lose themselves among the isles and inlets of their Bahamas home, or betake themselves to their impregnable sanctuary at Nassau. Although they attacked the shipping of all nations, the pirates of New Providence made Spanish shipping and Spanish treasure a special target. An incident that took place in 1716, involving an immense amount of Spanish silver, illustrates why the freebooters of the Caribbean were particularly attracted to Spanish prey. The story of the Spanish silver also illustrates in an almost incidental way how natural and evil inevitable it was for the ex-privateers of the War of the Spanish Succession to become pirates in time of peace. Defoe says that the story of the Spanish silver actually began in 1714, when a fleet of Spanish galleons carrying a great load of silver sank in a storm off the Gulf of Florida. 2 years later, Defoe continues several Spanish vessels from Havana located and sunk in fleet and began working with diving equipment to fish up the silver that was on board the galleons. The Spaniards has managed to recover millions of pieces of 8, most of which they had transported to their fortress at Havana. But there were some 350,000 pieces of 8 still awaiting transport. This silver was being held in a guardhouse on shore under the watchful eyes of 60 armed men. They don't got time to put no people in slavery or whatever. They got all these guards. They got all these guards, 60 armed men guarding some silver because of the pirates. Because of the pirates? Who were the Moors? They definitely didn't have any time to be playing around. These were Barbary states here. These Moors, these quote-unquote pirates in the Gulf of Florida, Central America, Mexico, with their ships. So they came over here on a slave ship, and then they started being pirates over here. I don't know. Unknown to the Spanish, word of their salvage operation had reached the ears of several enterprising ex-privateers based on the English-held islands of Jamaica and Barbados. In 1714, slaves have a ship. 1714, some slaves on the plantation escaped the plantation, and now they're pirates and they got ships and they're riding around. They're riding around. Well, they're pirates. Barbary states over here, because this is Morocco. There's no way slaves had boats and they were racing around robbing other boats. No way. They don't tell this side of the story when they do their slavery stuff. So somebody's not telling something, or too much has been told and people aren't listening. Despite the fact that the war had been over for 3 years, these freeboosters still thought of the Spanish as the enemy. It seemed natural to them that they should try to take some of the Spanish silver for themselves. They therefore set sail in 5 ships for the Gulf of Florida. Defoe tells in his own inimitable style what happened next. The rovers came directly upon the place, bring their little fleet to an anchor, and in a word, landing 300 men. They attacked the guard, who immediately ran away, and thus they seized the treasure, which they carried off, making the best of their way to Jamaica. Defoe adds in a casual aside that on their way to Jamaica with their booty, the freeloaders took another Spanish ship carrying some additional 600,000 pieces of eight. In Jamaica, however, the enterprising ex-privateers were shocked to discover that they were not welcomed with open arms. The Spanish had complained to the governor of Jamaica, pointing out that there was a peace treaty in force. See? He told you that when you go at them, they're going to make the argument of diversity of citizenship. Because there's a peace treaty. What you mean you're suing for something? Everybody's violated, or everybody's living by it. It's not one that's with it and then one that's without it. The Spanish had complained to the governor, pointing out that there was a peace treaty in force. Remember, that's supposed to be the same. That's supposed to be the same governor of the rogue stuff that these pirates belong to. Because what he realized, even in his rank of the pirates, that there were people who were going out there doing madness. And then not even bringing it back to the governor, like, hey, governor, look, we got the booty. This is what we got from them. They're trying to run off. 300 men. $300 sharing that out. They demanded the return of their silver. Like the more saying, that was probably why they even went and complained, because that was the tribute payments. They took their own boys' stuff. Since the war was long over, the governor of Jamaica, according to Defoe, let the freebooters know that he would not let them go unpunished. Says Defoe, therefore they saw a necessity of shifting for themselves. So to make bad worse, they went to sea again, though without disposing of their cargo to good advantage, and furnishing themselves with ammunition, provisions, etc. And being thus made desperate, they turned pirates. Eventually, each of the captains involved in the raid on the Spanish silver made his way to Nassau. Some of them became major figures in the roguish republic. Moors were going nuts. Moors were going nuts. People didn't have a chance. People did not have a chance. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Don't forget, it's Tuesday. So, Eastern Standard Time. MHHS, Eyes Wide Open. Call-in show. For all those people talking BS in the chat, here's a number that you could call in for 9:30. I bet your punk ass doesn't call in. Bet you. Let's see if you call in. I'll say the number twice for you. And make sure you call in early so you can't have any excuse. Well, I didn't try to get on. It couldn't get on because it just didn't let me get on. The Moors are stopping me from getting on. No, make sure you call in early. Call in early. And we have 3 numbers for you, just so you can make sure you have a pen. Don't say that you didn't write the number down and all that BS. Make sure you have a pen. One of the chat mufti just put this in the chat so they have no excuses. 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751. 425-569-5201. 425-569-5201. And 347-945-5899. 347-945-5899. So there you go. I remember you were asking in the beginning, oh, we need a number to call in so I can ask the questions of the whatever. All right, you want to call into something? How about call into the mothers? How about call into the mothers with your patriarchal Hebrew BS about some Abraham and some masculine BS? Bring that on there. Ask the mothers your questions about some Hebrew whatever. Let's see what their answer is. Because, you know, I'm just a humble student. I can't say that, you know, I know something. I'm just a student. I just study and stuff like that. But there are people who, you know, have classes and, you know, they have classes and stuff, you know. So they're more qualified than I am. You know what I mean? I'm just new to this. I just came into this yesterday. But it would be real good if you call in and speak with, you know, the mothers. You know. Yeah, just go talk to the mothers. Should be a good convo. Just go in there, push 1, and just wait for them to call your number. And when they call your number, that means you get the floor to start talking. All right, don't give me any BS about when is they gonna call in. I'm waiting. How come I can't call in yet? No, I don't want to hear any BS. No excuses. You say that you want to call into something. I just gave you a number to call into something. 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Call in and ask your questions there. When they say push 1, and then you can ask your question. Peace and love to all Moors. Islam. You gotta do this one again because this one is just crazy to me right now. Keep studying, Moors. Don't forget, for all the Moors in Canaanland, we have our town hall meeting this Sunday, 12 noon. So we're not gonna have any online meeting. 12 noon, town hall, this Sunday. All Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Divine National Movement, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Nation, members, citizens, nationals, whatever you claim. Once you put in your stuff and you pay your dues, it's parliamentary procedures. So be present. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love.
You have to unarm the next one too. Did you unarm the other one? Good. Stand off, take 10 paces when doing handoffs in the open, no bare faces, mere traces, rare places that know about a status. I mean status. What's the stasis? We out stratus. Mr. Universe, code name Tony Atlas. I was gifted with this. Why you talking about practice? Really? You talking about practice? You a thespian, acting like an actress. You a lesbian, type back on the mattress. Christian, Protestant, Anglican, Baptist, Pentecostal, Lutheran. All Catholic, angels have returned, truth is in, stop the slackers, they do anything and everything to get you off your axis. A time to move forward, a time to wait, a time to love, a time to hate, a time to hug, a time to refrain from embrace, a time to smile, time for seriousness on the face, a time to be on point, a time to make mistakes, a time to be small, a time to be great. This racing for the swift, but could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be a more strong devourer, rich prey on the poor. If you find this, but you seek in DNA, it's all stored. This racing for the swift, but could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be a more strong devourer, rich prey on the poor. If you find this, but you seek in DNA, it's all stored. Time to preserve life, a time to kill, a time to act hype, a time to chill. A time to do what's right, Allah's will. A time to make lower self-hate, wants and thrills. A time to reach heights, a time for depths. Times when you speak, times quiet is kept. A time to stay awake, actually we never slept. Time to get resuscitated, time for losing your breath. A time to pass, a time to resurrect. Sun sets, then it rises. I know it sounds complex, still no surprises. Try grasp the concepts. Open your eyelids, change your literature to change your mind. That's what I did. You on the fence, undecided? Take time, don't worry, she provided. It's delicate when ideologies collided. It's racing for the swift, but could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be your more strong devourer, rich prey on the poor. If you find it, because you're seeking DNA, it's all stored.
To let me out. I can only be myself.
Nah, don't be like me. No, don't be like me. But you look, don't be like me. Whoa, don't be like me. Much. Want my boy to be like me? Hold up, what? Cause don't be like me. Don't be like me. Must be yourself, man. Just be like me. Fly like a monarch and be my king. Step in like me, weapon I be. The day I stand above my knees. Still put the prophet in front. No sexuality. Don't be like she, can't be like her. And the hand, can't be like me. Should have been like team, or staying like dream. But it always an end, cause it ain't what's real. Don't be like ill. Stop bugging or being like them crayons, something that you spray on. God, step in light speed, hit the ground like streets, do a halt, or was it even moving? I'm a check. Don't be like me, could have been like we. One job. Better in a couple years, it's gonna be like 3. Don't be like speed. Don't be like me. No. Don't be like me. Was he gonna be like me? Whoa. Don't be like me. Much. Want my boy to be like me? Hold up, what? Cause don't be like me. Don't be like me. Must be yourself, man. Just be like me. Fly like a monarch and be my king.
Let me out. I can only be myself.
This, more land, not the matrix. Tricks, Lord's plan versus the ape wits. Writs of discovery affidavit, this is. Not more land, uno rest that we suffer, uno nest, uno flesh that we come through. Keep 6 from who? 30 more's in the mix, selling packages for the nation. It's part and partial, that's a where you going, Satan? With phone calls and corners. When I blackmail you to do something positive. In the black market, CEOs are foreigners. On Black Friday, see them pile up, no one going in. Move like a spit like a cobra while they super lip like a vulture. With losers, there's no winners. I stand on the pew, not a 2D curse. Overseeing the fuse could easily diffuse, but refuse to put you in the unknown sanctum. Bulla, I'm not talking sweet, tell you the whole shit. Unknown sanctum vibes. Unknown sanctum breakfast fight. Love truth, the ice get peace when it's fine. Unknown sanctum color of lies. Unknown sanctum vibes. Unknown sanctum.
Hey, for the more in the chat, heard you asking about, or seen you asking about this. Let's put this on the record for you.
Bashar, and he also knows that North America, or North America is known as Al-Maghreb Al-Aqsa.
Of course, I know that. North America was known as Al-Maghreb Al-Aqsa, and it reported to the Sultan of Morocco. And there was a relation. This is why I needed to ask you, what's the relation between the first, colonials and the governors of Morocco? Because they communicated, because on paper it was part of Greater Morocco. That's known.
That's known.
But I need
and Bashar's from Jordan.
Yes.
Palestine.
All right. So you can play that for your wife. That the Palestinian Jordanian knows that America was once part of Greater Morocco. America was once part of Greater Morocco. All three continents was once part of Greater Morocco. And then she could just do her research on that, which it would be called the Moroccan Empire. And you can go on Amazon right now and go buy every book on the Moroccan Empire that's on there if you think there's no such thing as a Moroccan Empire. And back to some Rakala.
More land, not the matrix. Tricks. Lord's plan versus the ape wits. Writs of discovery affidavit. This is not more land, more land. Uno breast that we suffer. Uno nest, uno flesh that we come through. Keep six from who? Dirty Moors in the mix. Selling packages for the nation. It's part and partial. Ask them where you going, Satan. With phone calls and corners. When I blackmail you to do something positive. In the black market, CEOs are foreigners. On Black Friday, see them pile up, no one going in. Move like a spit like a cobra while they super lip like a vulture. With losers, there's no winners. I stand on the pew, not a 2D curse. Overseeing the fuse could easily diffuse, but refuse to put you in the unknown sanctum. Bulla, I'm not talking sweet, tell you the whole shit. Unknown sanctum vibes. Unknown sanctum breakfast fight. Love truth, the ice get peace when it's fine. Unknown sanctum color of lies. Unknown sanctum vibes. Unknown sanctum pick me fight. Unknown sanctum vibes. Pick me fight. Unknown sanctum vibes. Unknown sanctum breakfast fight. Love truth, but how you get
peace when it's my part. Unum sanctum, color applies. Pick me, fight, 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 like. Say you pick me, fight, 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 like. What? Been a long time, you ain't wised up. Are you innocent when you living with the sin? Slap life in the dead meat, trap the niggas in. Black be the sunshine, new era that we in. It's back from time immemorial. Be us, we'll turn the first page to read the cover. So judge not, silly Billy, always doing what Simon says up on Morocco, not Barack. Old B, Bush, a Trump B, gonna make the country great again. Cool, 1861. Took back in the 6th convention by the noble truth saying. It's been a long time since the low and high you meet again. The yin with the yang, the bull man boom. Where humanity is boom, gradually you bloom. Come out to daddy, join the rank, you would gladly, connotatively with family. No color applies.